All right, this is the start. I clap. This is the start.
I'm in it.
You're
okay.
in. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
All right, Ben Kirschenbaum, ladies and gentlemen,
That's me.
on the pod,
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm very, very excited.
and conveniently in the neighborhood
I was in the neighborhood just by chance. Rich texted me this morning,
this morning.
and I was going to visit my friend 2 blocks away. And this is not a neighborhood that I'm typically at.
No, you're not, because you're an authentic Upper East Side kid.
I am an authentic Upper East Side kid. Yeah.
An authentic. We'll go. I mean, his name's Ben Kirschenbaum.
Oh,
Upper
yeah.
East Side Jew. This
Look,
is the real deal.
This is, yeah. Have you ever seen the show Gossip Girl?
You want to get into it?
Let's get into it.
Is that so? What was it? Is that it? Is that your life?
Well, I will say this, that Gossip Girl doesn't make the characters Jewish, which is unrealistic. And yet, if they had, it probably would have been a wildly offensive.
Oh my God! It would have been canceled so quick.
They're just all going around. It's like, yeah, this is Blair Steinberg, and she's. Did you hear she got off the train at Grand Central? Yeah.
Do you think there's no way the producers weren't Jewish?
The producers were probably Jewish from that world. I don't know who wrote the books. We
Who
could look
wrote
that
the
up.
books?
But,
That's a good
yeah,
call
yeah.
in if you know who wrote the books.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Did you go to a school like that?
I went to a school that wasn't in Manhattan. It was called Horseman in Riverdale.
Oh, the Bronx.
The Bronx. Yeah, right near Yankee Stadium. Yeah.
Not near Yankee Stadium, right by Riverdale, isn't
That's
it?
what it's in. That's my joke. It's not. It's technically the Bronx, but it's not like kind of Bronx. I
Right.
mean, it's Riverdale. It's this. It looks like a college campus. It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
It's unbelievable.
That at Fordham Prep in Riverdale, right? Those are the big three.
Yes. Fieldston. Is
Fieldston
another.
also.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that Gossip Girl was probably more directly based off of a school that was like Horseman, but just happened to be in Manhattan, like a Trinity or a Dalton, that kind of thing.
Okay. This, I'm going to kind of deviate off the Gossip Girl idea. We'll come back. Sure. How do you get between the Upper East Side and Horseman? You can't go on the subway.
School bus.
School bus.
Oh, yeah.
Ben.
Yeah.
You took a school bus from the Upper East Side to Riverdale.
Every day? Yeah.
Is that a private school bus?
It is, as opposed to...
Well, it's a private school, I guess.
Well, where did you think? Yeah, no. It wasn't. No, we got on the M15 and just all of us packed in. Just a bunch of Jews packed in, heading to the Bronx, and that was... Parents were thrilled, and then it was great. Yeah.
That makes sense. Did you... and this, I guess this goes into like living... Because as a suburban kid...
Right.
Suburban kids always want to know what it's like growing up in the city.
Right.
Do city kids think about what it's like growing up in the suburbs?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think I was always curious about how you guys get around. Because, I mean, with the city... So here's the thing with the city is that every once in a while there would be a destination, some sort of party at someone's place or whatever. Yes. However, sometimes you're just kind of winging it. So it's so easy just to... go on the subway or take a cab to different places. There was like, you spend a half an hour here, you spend a half an hour here, as opposed to the suburbs where I feel like you're stuck for 4 hours wherever you are.
This is this is not at all how I envisioned
Really?
a city kid. So what you're saying is you hop into one place, you're like, I don't really like these people, and make it a public event.
Yeah.
You go to the next one.
Totally. A few blocks away.
So interesting. Yeah. Because you're right, with the suburbs, it's fucking... I'm trying to think of someone I don't know's name. They're having a party. And you're like, I hate this person.
Right.
But I committed.
You committed.
To the party.
Especially before you can drive. Because then it's all relying on your parents, right?
Completely relying on the parents.
I mean, that to me seems like a nightmare.
I had a deal with this. I had a bar mitzvah. I hated the kid. I said yes because I thought everyone else was saying yes.
Right.
Everyone said no. I got stuck going to the party.
Wow.
And I had to go to the service and party for a kid I don't like.
You know what? It's a little trick. The non-Jews, I don't know, trick. The non-Jews always...
It's such a here's a little Jew trick.
Is there any other kind? The tendency that I started to notice...
There you go.
...was that... So 7th grade at my school,
okay,
90% Jewish.
Ooh.
Everyone has a bar or bat mitzvah.
Okay.
And these bar mitzvahs, I mean, we're talking super wealthy families.
They're like weddings.
They are beyond weddings. We're at the plaza, the Rainbow Room at the top of Rockefeller Center, the Pierre. I mean, you name it.
Yeah.
And it was, so first of all, you have like a pretty intense social life at the age of 12, 13. So,
And that's when you are independently, like, now starting your own social life. You have been pushed into this from birth, I assume.
yes. But this is like the year. So everyone's got 2 to 3 bar mitzvahs per weekend.
Yes.
And even if you're not particularly popular, you have 2 to 3 because bar mitzvahs are so big that it's like
business.
you invite the whole class, basically. Otherwise, it's pretty messed up.
Right.
So that was kind of the social life. But the only point that I was going to make is that there's a service in the morning and then the party at night for the most part. After a little while, the Jews tend to not go to the service because they're like, I don't need to go to the service, whatever.
Right.
It's the non-Jews who are trying to be respectful of the fact that this is a religious rite that go to the services. The Jews are just like, we know this is, keep in mind, these are very reformed Jews. I mean, these are not.
Right. These aren't your...
This is not Williamsburg. You know?
Right. This is the Ari Gold type of Jews.
This is Ari Gold's kid would have gone to my school. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I didn't know Horseman was such a Jewish school. For some reason, I thought it was Jesuit. I don't know why I thought that.
I went to college at a Jesuit school.
Well, you went to Northwestern.
I went to Georgetown.
You went to Georgetown?
Yeah.
Oh, then you moved to Chicago.
And I moved to Chicago afterwards, yeah.
Did you master's at Northwestern for some reason? I thought you also went to
No, I
Northwestern
never did anything
for some reason.
Northwestern. I did live in Chicago afterwards. I did some, improv bullshit.
Which is hilarious to me.
Yeah, no. It's hilarious to me. The funniest thing about improv is the fact that people do it. That's the funniest.
Especially someone like you, such a talented writer, by far the most talented in our class, I would say.
That's very sweet.
You, seeing these people try to do improv, you're like, there's faults all over your logic.
The amount of times that I was in an improv class and the teacher said to me, "You're just not wacky enough." I can't count on one hand. They're just like, you just got to be a little more wacky. And it's just the fact that I went from like a Georgetown serious school or whatever to a bunch of people insulting my lack of wackiness is just ridiculous.
And that you also grew up where wackiness was frowned upon.
Big time.
You cannot. Do you think that might be why you're such a good writer? Is because you were forced to be so diligent?
I think that Horseman and then a good college afterwards did teach me how to write. I mean, it didn't teach me writing comedy in particular,
right?
But it teaches you, not to get nerdy on this, but like if you're writing a bit, you kind of have like a thesis statement. Like you're kind of making a point, and then the jokes are almost the proof or the evidence of this statement I'm making. So I know it's
science in here. Taking science, putting it into art. I like it.
Yeah.
Ben Kirschenbaum, ladies and gentlemen.
I've thought this through. Does not mean I can execute. But
I
know the theory. I know that I can write a book on comedy. That doesn't mean
that is one of the worst things a comedian could say.
I could
write a book.
I could write a book on comedy and never make a joke in my life.
He could teach a comedy class.
I could teach a class, yes.
That's
yes.
That's a shot at people who teach comedy classes. Not to say names. Oh my God.
Well, there's one in particular who we do love.
Jessica Kirsten. Oh, D.F. Sweetler.
D.F. Sweetler.
Shout out D.F. Sweetler.
D.F. Sweetler, one of the greatest people that's ever graced the Upper East Side.
The Upper East Side. I don't think the IRS would agree with that.
I think the IRS probably has pages of files trying to bust this guy. A board wire style.
There's just yarn all over the IRS.
To Gladys. All these people.
D.F. Sweetler. What is his job at the comic strip?
D.F.
Talent coordinator? Talent man who charges $14 for open mics?
Yeah.
It's a long title.
It's a long title. There's probably some acronym for it. I don't know. I don't know what he actually does. He runs the late night program.
He runs the late night where me, Ben, Kyle Mara, May Planner, guest of the pod, we used to go up every night at the comic strip,
which was a lot of fun. And DF is the czar of that.
Right, he's the ringleader.
He's the ringleader
of that. And he also, and I think I might be I think I'm correct with this. He's been getting government money for 40 years.
This I was unaware.
I'm pretty sure, and he also pays like $70 for his Upper East Side
If you
apartment.
ever, not to get all political, but if you ever questioned that the government wastes your tax dollars, then that would be Exhibit A of that. But yeah, I mean, great guy and very helpful when it comes to bits. Like when he would come
when he likes you.
If he doesn't like you, he doesn't give a shit. Yeah, but that's fair. Yeah.
Shout out the F and shout out Zoe 101, his favorite show. And that's a little inside joke for the 3 people listening that understand that. What did you study at Georgetown?
I was a history and math double major.
A history and math double major with the intention of Second City in Chicago?
Going to Chicago doing comedy was a bit of a whim.
Okay.
I decided I had no idea what I wanted to do. I'm one of these people who, if I have no idea what I want to do, which is often, if I don't know what, I kind of say to myself, like, okay, let's do something that in the moment is an objectively like good thing. At worst, it's neutral. So like working hard and getting good grades, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with it, if anything, but I'll work hard and I'll try to get good grades. Same thing with like exercise. Like I don't know, like it's a good thing. So if I have nothing else to do, go for it.
That makes sense.
But still, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I thought maybe Teach for America, doing like a teacher thing.
Okay.
And at the last minute, I decided to go with my good friend who also, he had gotten into law school already. I think he had gotten to like NYU or like
NYU law?
some hotshot like top 5, top 10 law school. And he said no and went to Chicago.
And now he's Dimitri Martin.
Now he's Dimitri Martin.
And now he's Greg Giraldo. What happened to him?
Greg Giraldo. I hate to break the news to you.
Yeah, I know what happened there.
To Dimitri Martin also, I have no idea.
Yeah, he might be doing worse than Giraldo.
He got out when he could. I think, Russell, the guy I moved out with, very comedy writer, just wrote for a show on Fox.
Sick.
Yeah.
Oh, so it worked out.
It worked out.
Okay. Because you always hear the stories where it works out. You don't hear the stories.
True.
Which
have got to be the majority of stories.
I mean, you see the people we're dealing with on a daily basis.
There are a lot of, you do want to question exactly why they chose this.
Right.
Here's okay. So this is not to bash anyone in particular.
Not to say names.
But I totally understand if someone has a passion for doing this, does it, and just doesn't have much talent. That I get. I don't get that there are certain people in the comedy world who have no talent and seemingly don't even enjoy doing it. Like, what's the... It's this weird thing where it's like they must be so delusional that they think they're so good that it would be some sort of crime if they didn't enter the comedy world.
Do you say so? You think that they imagine themselves as being too cool for the scene? Or too talented for the scene?
I think there's some of that, yeah. Especially early on in comedy when you're doing mics and, it's humbling. I mean...
Oh, yeah.
It's... You're paying money to do it. I mean, it doesn't get more humbling than that.
Right, to bomb.
Yeah.
Hard.
Yeah.
Because I always saw it as someone who has nowhere else to go. You're like a social orphan.
Right.
Where you're like, I could pay $5 to do. It's very like the Greek life in college mindset, where it's like, oh, I could pay and I have a place to go.
I have a place to go. Sure, there are plenty of people who I think do stand up for the hang.
And
absolutely.
Now, where will they go after this? Because these places that do the mics, they're not opening. And right now, they're doing it in front of fountains, like homeless people.
I saw one, the Q train stop.
You texted me about this.
Yeah. A group of people. I was going just on the Q. I wasn't one of them.
Upper West Side.
I was there getting a croissant. That was the most pretentious thing I could think of, was a croissant.
And the way you said it was real cunty, a croissant.
I was at Le Pen. I saw that there was a mic going on at the 86th Street Q stop.
Insane.
Yeah.
I hope on the second floor.
Yes, on the second
Thank
floor.
God.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
And people are doing shows in trains.
I was going to say that people are doing literal stand-up shows on the one train, and now and I believe
On the N as well.
they're diversifying.
Wow. Yeah, they made it to Queens.
They're going all the way from Coney Island to the Queens Center Mall. It's a 3-hour show.
That's great. When they start hitting the ferry, we'll get all 5 boroughs. Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah, no, it's if you were offered to do that, I don't know if you have been already. You wouldn't do that, would you?
Never
Yeah,
in a million years.
Yeah.
Would I do? I've done some awful gigs,
sure.
and I performed at 2 a.m. I would never.
Yeah.
Would you?
No.
No.
And you're right that I'm not. I don't feel like I'm above any gig, but that one I feel not above it. I feel like it's wrong.
Like you're going too low. It's not we're too high. It's you're too low.
Yes.
What in your right mind thinks you're so important that you could just go on a subway car?
And I assume bombard them with comedy, right? Like, are these people buying tickets? Or are they a mariachi band? I mean, are they, just...
No, the club doesn't book Hispanics, so
that's fair.
It's not a mariachi band.
That's fair.
I don't know, because you think they have to swipe... That was a slow burner.
That was great. The club is like so woke, but they just can't get by Hispanics. So we draw the line.
Well, wait, gays, blacks, trans, but the Hispanics, it
just doesn't.
It's a hard line.
Doesn't work. Wait, Spanish, sure.
Oh, in.
Yeah.
That's classy.
No, that's oh my god.
They wouldn't do a subway show.
Spanish,
real Spanish.
No.
Do you think they have to swipe the Metro card? And then, like, someone holds up the subway and is like, can you show me your QR code? Do you have...
I don't know. I don't know if that's how it works.
How does seating work on a subway show?
I mean, I've seen some photos of it.
I know.
It's... And also, just to say, first of all, I'm not shitting on anyone who actually, like, does do it. I mean, I understand. All right, your word. But I'm not shitting on anyone only because I do feel like I get the mentality of there's no way to do stand-up right now. This is kind of one of the few ways to do it. And I will also say that any little like video I've seen on Instagram of people doing it, the crowd seems to be into it. I mean, I know those boomerangs or whatever can be misleading, but I'm just saying.
I also think they're the comedians that are also on the show in the audience.
That's true. That's a fair point.
It's starting to get to the point where it's like, are we artists or are we a step above homeless? This is a step above homeless.
Well, I think the step above is what, a microphone? Otherwise, It is just homelessness.
It's just homelessness.
It's just, I don't know where you're getting this step above from.
Electricity is the only thing.
Electricity would be the one. Yeah, because they're probably asking for tips.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
How does drinks work in a subway show?
Drinks.
Can you drink on the subway?
But that's also, you're pulling down your mask. This is an indoor thing.
It's an indoor thing. But the doors do open.
Oh, yeah. You get that beautiful New York air coming, circulating in. I don't know. I mean, it's It's sad. I think it's one of those things where it's just, without even taking a stance, it's just sad.
It's sad.
It's just upsetting.
What's lower on the scale here? Us as a late night comedian doing a subway show, or going to Horseman and then going to like SUNY Potsdam? What is more frowned upon?
Well, the second one, you know, your family probably disowns you. There's a lot of things that comes along with going to Potsdam.
Yeah.
I think, okay, so if you got the Horseman education, you go to a really...
Just a working class school.
I mean, I'm not even joking. If you went to a SUNY, even SUNY Binghamton, which is a great school.
Great school. A lot of people listen to this.
Even if you go to one of the good, SUNY Albany, SUNY Buffalo, I mean, which is a great, very good schools.
Yeah.
I think that a Horseman family would probably pretend that the family lost money in some sort of Ponzi scheme.
Really?
And that's how some story would be created in order to explain that.
They would do reverse inside trading. They would make their spreadsheets look worse.
They would make their spreadsheets look worse in order to pretend like the only reason why the kid's going is for financial reasons and not because he, got bad grades or whatever it is.
Very interesting. What is the lowest... You go, and like when you graduate, everyone, they give you a bill where everyone's going to college,
and
like at the graduation.
By word of mouth as well. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
What were people whispering about?
That's the thing. And people were whispering about objectively great schools.
Georgetown? Were they whispering about Georgetown?
Georgetown was middle of the pack.
Georgetown's middle of the pack?
Middle of the pack.
Do they know Ewing went there? Iverson? The greats!
Bill Clinton, who you went with AI before.
I went AI before Clinton.
Fair enough.
I was going to say Mulaney and Birbiglia before I said Clinton.
A lot of comedians.
Nick Kroll.
Nick Kroll, too. Gaffigan.
Gaffigan went to Georgetown?
Oh, yeah. Different time than the other guys, but yeah, absolutely.
I did not know that.
You grew up in a culture where college was everything, where whatever college, but especially in high school, but even earlier, where, that was the kids, it was the parents' self-worth,
right.
Very, living vicariously through their kids.
Yes.
And as a result, the kids feel it.
Of course.
So,
of course.
But to answer your question, I mean, like, no one would like shit on Georgetown, but people would shit on like Tulane.
Yeah, what is that? Harvard of the South is their slogan?
Is that what they call themselves?
I believe they call themselves Harvard of the South.
Wow. Okay.
What's your competition?
Duke, which is way better. No?
Would Duke be... I don't think Louisiana considers North Carolina South.
You gotta be on the Gulf of Mexico.
I think you have to be in the Katrina
You've gotta,
zone.
If you're not at risk to be completely decimated by a hurricane.
Every year you have to lose your house between July and October.
Right.
To be in the South.
Okay.
According to a Louisianan. I could get Tulane. Like, if you grew up in such a...
If you grow up in a
wealthy...
school... I mean, there was 170 kids in my grade, and I think 10 of them went to Harvard. Like...
Well, yeah. Well, I assume they also have family ties.
Oh, of course.
Right.
Of course. The Wings named after their family.
Well, Horseman's a part of the Little Ivies, right? Of Manhattan?
They have the same color. They're crimson. And white. Yeah.
Good baseball team, I believe, too.
Well, we had Pedro Alvarez on our team who went on to be a very good player in the majors.
They let him into the school.
To Horseman?
Yeah.
I think... I'm pretty sure that Pedro Alvarez gained attention because he would play in like club, baseball, whatever. I don't think that people were like, wow, this kid is pounding, home runs against a bunch of these little Jews, I don't think I don't think that proved much. I think he had to play with more competitive players.
Of course, but to let him in, he had to be pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I mean, all these prep schools though do like some program to make themselves look good, and
right.
They bring in some diverse students from poorer neighborhoods or whatever. And the only reason why I'm sounding skeptical about it is because it's like they're clearly doing it for the they don't give a shit about equality or any of these things.
Oh no, because you would to show if you truly care about diversity is if you let in Pedro Alvarez and he couldn't hit 400 a season.
100%.
Right.
100%.
These are different ethnicities. You have to bring something else to the table.
Yeah, I mean,
can you dunk? No. What can you hit? 200? No thanks. No football team at Horseman, right?
We have a football team. One of my best friends was the captain of the football team. I think he's 5'8". And
kicker?
I don't think that he can see past that. People are talking about Drew Brees or Kyler Murray, and I'm like, you don't know short quarterbacks until you go to a Horseman football game. And we had a football team technically. I mean, you have to remember that they're playing against other schools that have the same demographic. So
so the competition's just
the same. I mean,
and athletics just isn't a big thing, is
you
it?
Consider chess a sport. Tennis, preppy,
Golf. Model UN?
Yes, there was a Model UN.
Big,
Yeah,
probably.
Model UN was big.
Band big? I'm basing this off my school now, which is just, I think, public.
There were a few
Horseman.
really talented musicians, but I don't think band was a real big thing.
Did you have jazz band? Did you play an instrument?
I did not. No.
That's surprising
I always
to me.
regretted that. Yeah.
I'm surprised you
I wish
didn't
I
play
could
an
play.
instrument.
I wish I could play something. I wish I could play something and then never do it. But then, like, never do it at all. But then you're at some sort of, like, party or something, and, like, there's a piano there. And kind of like an Anchorman scene thing where you're like, oh, I couldn't, like, whatever.
And people are like, no,
yeah,
Ben,
yeah,
Ben.
come on. No, I think he knows how to play. Like, and then you're just amazing. You're just incredible.
That would take so many years of your parents pushing you to get
For that moment.
For that one moment.
One moment. And it would be worth it. It would be worth it, the 10,000 hours that you put into.
For that big. Do you think people have done that? And then they're like, no, Ben, play. And you're like, it's not big of enough. I need a bigger event than this.
I'm waiting
for the Christmas party
Yeah.
to drop this. I'm not doing this at
I
the
think
barbecue.
that's definitely happened. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, growing up in that environment is, everybody's childhood is weird in a different way. I feel like
Right.
it's,
But
mine just happens to inspire hit
CW's
shows.
greatest hit.
Yeah.
Were there any like Dans
Me.
at the school?
I liken myself to Dan. Both my parents were doctors, not Rufus, but
You watched the show. You know the names.
Of course I watched the show.
I don't know if you watched the show. I don't know if
Oh,
it hits too close to home for you.
Right? It's like looking in the mirror.
It's interesting. Also, yeah, both of your parents are doctors. So is your dad a psychologist or a psychiatrist?
Neither. He is a urologist.
He's a urologist. For
Yeah.
some reason, I thought, no, your dad's a urologist who frowns upon psychology.
Yes, my dad frowns upon medicine. My dad is a completely self-hating doctor.
Oh, I was nervous what that word was going to be.
Well, doctor's synonymous with the word you thought it was going to be. No, my dad is like very much of the opinion of like, listen, I went to medical school with these people. They're idiots.
They're the two lanes of.
Oh no, I mean like he's just like in general, most people are not capable enough to have lives in their hands. That's just his personal belief. And he also is very much of the belief that like most testing and things like this are unnecessary and are done just as precautions or as money grabs and things like that.
I could get behind that.
Yeah.
For some of it. I understand that. He looks down and he's well, first, what's your mom? What kind of doctor?
Endocrinologist, hormones.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's fun.
And they met doing research. So
Interesting.
it was like prostate research, which the research that they were doing was clearly urology related. I don't really get the endocrine side of
It's
it.
an erotic field of medicine.
It's a aphrodisiac.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
And your
Absolutely.
mom American, dad Russian.
Correct.
I'm a fake Russian.
What do you mean?
Russian, but like I didn't grow up with real Russian. Like you would go to church, there's Russians there. But I left.
Yeah.
That was the end of my Russian for the week.
Right.
You lived with the Russian.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that Eastern European Jewish is I don't think of it as like Russian. They speak Russian, but they also speak they speak like my dad speaks like 8 languages or something
I think
ridiculous.
my family spoke Slavic. Mom, check me on that.
Yeah, so my dad, the town that he was born in was the Soviet Union, but is now technically Ukraine, right on the border of Slovakia and Hungary. It's like all these messed up things. Like, so my great-grandfather, my grandfather, and my dad all were born and raised in the same city, but all of them were born in different countries because the borders just keep
At the time.
changing nonstop. Yeah.
Right. I think I'm like Romanian technically, but you just say Russian because it's like,
Right.
what are we doing here? It's the same
Yeah, it's
now. What are
ridiculous.
these countries doing?
I don't know. I mean, it's
You're not going to win an Olympic event as your own sovereign nation.
gymnastics.
Oh,
They got that.
they do have that weightlifting.
Weightlifting, they're good at.
They're
They
good at
used to
that.
be good at hockey. but
The Russians still have hockey.
Russians still have hockey.
But you're not seeing...
you're not seeing Ukraine or whatever. Ukraine, I think their president is a comedian. Do you know that?
No way.
Yeah, he was like a Jon Stewart type, like political comedian, and then he was elected.
Interesting.
I'm saying
I
it as
didn't
if
know
our
that.
country only elects, lifelong politicians.
That's someone we have to
Yeah.
we have to take the Ukraine into consideration
Right,
when talking about politics. No, I had no idea. Georgetown,
Yeah.
comedian.
Yeah,
You got some good ideas.
yeah.
Would you run?
Oh, would I run for office?
Would you
Absolutely.
run for
I think it
office?
takes a sociopath.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it takes
you fit
an
that.
absolute. I fit that?
No, I'm kidding. No kidding.
Oh God, it just takes a certain personality to, and I just the ego. I mean, so I'm taking president. I'm taking the extreme example.
What's
I'm sure,
the extreme example?
and I'm sure I'm not the first person to make this point. I'm sure many people have, but the arrogance it takes to believe that you should be, and this applies to anyone who ever ran for president.
Of course.
The arrogance it takes for you to believe that you should be the most powerful person in the world
Is mind-blowing.
that makes I'm confident about certain things, but to think that is, I mean, it's sociopathic. I mean, it has to be.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
You see, Andrew Yang rode all the subways. It was earlier this week, or about a week ago.
No.
He announced his candidacy for New
Yeah.
York City mayor, and then he rode all the subways. And I was like, that's how you don't get my vote.
That is completely unnecessary. I mean, like what?
So unnecessary.
I don't know what. Who's he going against? De Blasio again? Is
No,
that the
there's a
idea?
guy, this black guy from Citibank
Yeah.
who's going to run.
And he's just
That's all
he's just
I've
going
seen
to
him
go
on
on some.
CNBC.
I mean, you just know though that like politicians with all those games, like that guy probably looked at Yang and was like, that was a great idea.
You think so?
I don't know.
I
mean,
think he's looking at it like us comedians looking at a subway performance, and he goes,
that
"Who
might be
would
true,
do that?"
Yeah. That's a ridiculous thing.
And he's a Citibank executive. He doesn't need subway.
Yeah. You think people see through that? They don't.
That's the problem.
They don't see through it.
They don't see through it.
Yeah.
You take a picture next to a churro and you got the Mexican vote. It's like, what?
Yeah. No, I mean, and people say this about Trump, obviously, that he's like a populist, but he, was born with a silver spoon or whatever. But Trump is far from the first politician to be, I mean, FDR was the richest
Most
of the
of them.
rich, and people like, workers in the middle of Oklahoma are like, this guy gets me. And it's like, what do you...
Bush had a southern accent, and that got half the country.
Yeah, he went to Yale.
He went to Yale.
It was not...
Apparently, my buddy who went to Yale,
Yeah.
he went into what was it, an eating? It's not. It's an eating club at Harvard. I think it's a fraternity. Yale has fraternity.
Yale, that's like where the CIA formed, right? Or don't they have like Skull and Bones and that
Skull
shit?
and Bones. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, he was in. I believe Bush was in Skull and Bones. Call us in if that's.
I believe that's true, yeah.
But apparently, at one of the frat houses,
Yeah.
over their fireplace is a picture of Bush with just his boxers on, holding 2 bottles of whiskey, chugging it. And I was like, that. Honestly, as an idiot,
yeah,
that got my vote.
that would be effective. I mean, the
was
Bush,
too late, but-
didn't you feel like, I can't remember it too well, but in 2000, like a big thing with Bush is like, he's the kind of guy you would want to get a beer with.
Right.
And why that makes him qualified to be president, I have no idea, but that argument works.
I would do it. That works for me.
Oh, come on.
It works for me all over the
I mean,
place.
I'm an idiot. I mean, I would vote for Bush because of that pitch.
I vote for Bush because of his painting now.
I would vote for. Listen, I think I'm just a big George W. Bush.
Are we advocating for a 3rd term?
I see no problem. He looks great.
That's it. The Happy Hour, the official podcast of the George W. Bush 3rd term.
And I'm not waiting until 2024. I'll tell you that.
No,
much.
we're starting.
No, we're starting it right now.
I would say make the election happen again, not for Trump.
No,
3rd term Bush
3rd term Bush sounds good to me.
and Cheney. Let's get them all back in.
It's a 3rd term. Here's the loophole: the father only was a 1-termer. That's how we're going to find the loophole that he can do a 3rd term. It's like he's finishing his father's legacy.
He adds an H. He can get back in.
1 H away.
He's
We're
only
1
one
H
H
away
away
from this happening.
What a slogan!
1 H away.
We're 1 H away. We're better than most fucking.
Oh God. Yeah. But I think that's what all those politicians do. I mean,
Do you think if we got Bush back in,
Yeah.
Do you think SNL would be better again?
Well, they would do the bullshit of bringing back Ferrell. Here's the thing with, and I got nothing against Ferrell and I got nothing against his imitation of Bush. I think it was great. But SNL, if you don't think this is the worst that SNL has ever been, they think it's the worst it's ever been because they don't trust their own cast. Why is Alec Baldwin, who's not in the cast, being the most important character of the show, the president? I mean, that's the most important parody.
And then they had Biden running, and at least me, I can't speak for you. I was like, oh, Sudeikis is going to come back.
Yeah.
No, they got Jim Carrey.
They got the biggest movie star of all time. You know, it's trust the cast, and so I feel like they don't actually. That Lorne Michaels doesn't think the show is good.
Lorne Michaels has been out on the show since Chris Kattan left. He's mailed it.
I mean, I've never watched comedy again after Chris Kattan. Chris Kattan perfected comedy.
Right. People say it's Steve Martin. No.
No.
Chris Kattan.
Chris Kattan is the one. Night at the Roxbury movie, which is not bad.
Which I enjoy.
I enjoy very much. I think Chris Kattan, though, did Corky Romano.
Corky Romano!
Yeah.
I mean, that's a cinematic.
Solo. That was him solo. Yeah.
And no one talks about it, and I think for good reason.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe that's how we should base our presidential terms of when SNL was good.
In terms of, you're saying that's how we judge a president, is by how good the...
No, not how we judge a president based on who... Oh, maybe. But just like, should we bring people back? Like, enough with this 2 terms.
Right.
Was SNL good when he was in office?
Right. I mean, Obama was the worst for SNL. People had a lot of trouble figuring out how to parody Obama. I think Key and Peele did an okay job at it.
Key and Peele did an okay job.
Because it was like, they were like, what was the joke? It was like that he's like stiff in front of the press, but
in front of like white people around black people. I was thinking, when did Obama get in? 2008?
Right.
When did Digital Shorts start? When was I'm on a Boat come out?
I'm on a Boat. What was the first one? Lazy Sunday?
Lazy Sunday was the first one. When did that come out?
I feel like I was in high school. I feel like it was pre-2008.
It was around then.
Yeah.
So maybe we do one more early term Obama. I don't know.
We definitely got to recycle.
We got to recycle.
What are we doing electing new people?
I think if we find someone, well, now I'm going to preach a monarchy. If we find someone that fits,
I think that
just keep them in.
What are we doing? Why are we voting? What are you? Yeah, exactly. We know that it works, or we know it doesn't work, but at least it's familiar.
Love familiar.
Familiar is, yeah. And I think that's why people voted for Biden. I mean, I know that there's a lot of race, gender stuff or whatever.
Well, of course.
And that people are like, he's an old white guy. He looks like the presidents I'm used to. So, all right. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not advocating that, but I think that is why Biden got a lot of votes.
Right, because they're familiar with them.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the country is school teachers and firemen, and they're just working average jobs. Why? Stability.
Right.
And that's what I think we should do for all things. Either keep the McRib out or keep it on the menu.
Right.
Enough.
Yeah, change is bad.
Change is bad.
Yeah.
We're really sounding bad on this.
In what sense?
No, I'm just kidding. We're already in. We convinced ourselves.
It's weird. Yeah, because the country's already perfect for us. No change.
Right. We're doing fine.
We're doing fine. What are you guys complaining
I'm hearing about people being kicked out of their apartments.
Oh, God.
People can't find a job. We're doing great.
We're doing great. I love this couch. I'm good.
Yeah, I think it perfectly molds me and my roommate's body. So I think that's why you sink in.
Yeah,
it's because I spend so much time here.
Yeah.
And now here's another thing. So what's going on upstairs, Ben?
Yeah.
We don't know. Before Ping Pong Dropper McGee, we had what we think was an old Asian man.
Okay.
Whoever he was talking to on the phone couldn't hear him.
Okay.
And now we have people that throw like jazz parties on Fridays.
Jazz parties on Fridays. I had a similar thing once. I think the people who lived above me once were swingers.
Really?
I'm pretty sure. Just there would be a lot of people hanging out, and then one time they would make noise like 3, 4 in the morning on weeknights, playing loud music, playing like heavy bass, like all this stuff. And I went up once and knocked on the door, and that's very unlikely. Like you have to really.
Passive.
I'm a very passive person. That was the war, that it took a lot of building myself up in order to do that.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
They shut the door in my face. But I did get a little bit of a glimpse of what was going on, and it felt like a swinger party kind of thing. I don't really know.
What was the spread like? Good spread?
Yeah, they seem to have a little crudité.
Okay. All right. That's the one thing about swingers. They know how to cater.
They know how to cater. Yeah,
They know how to cater. Yeah, so we don't know what's going on there. And then I just lost my train of thought. Oh, what I was going to say is you left the Horseman lifestyle, go to Georgetown. Now, did you go to Georgetown because of like Mulaney and Birbiglia? And
No, nothing like that. I didn't have that in my mind. I took a tour. I thought it was really cool. It's a nice area, nice town, campus. And that was about it. Yep.
Did you join that improv?
No.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, I didn't. I really didn't pick up any of the comedy stuff until I left college.
Until you moved to Chicago.
Yeah.
What can you give me? Do you like Chicago?
I do. I do really like Chicago.
Okay.
And I am a bit of a New York asshole in terms of like, oh, nothing's as good as, I call it the city and like all that shit. But Chicago, first of all, it's not that cold in the winter. People go crazy with the saying that it's unlivable or whatever.
Because you could go below the ground, right? Do they have a lot of below the ground walking? And
I don't know what you're getting at. What are you below the ground walking?
I thought there were like trails beneath the ground. I know Buffalo has it. I'm
Trails
wrong.
Beneath the ground. Okay.
I thought so.
I'm
wrong.
Subway.
Well, yeah, Subway.
We were talking like an underground city.
I'm implying, that there's some sort of foundation for an
Wait, if there
underground
was,
city.
they never let me in on a secret. I never found the key.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for. I liked it a lot. I think it's a great city.
I heard it's just cleaner New York. Can you comment?
It's definitely cleaner. Yes.
It's definitely cleaner.
Yes.
Homeless?
For sure.
How do you survive?
Not as bad as New York.
Yeah, how do you survive a Chicago homeless winter?
I don't know. That's a great question. I'm not sure.
Is it windy? Is it as windy as they say?
Oh, it's windy. Yeah.
Oh, it's windy?
The titular windiness is, for sure.
But it's a lake. It's on a fucking lake.
If you're near the lake, it's bad.
Well, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But
if you're in the lake.
Well, if you're in the lake, forget about it.
And it's freezing. It's terrible. What?
Nah, I don't know. In my head, and this is again being a coastal elite queef here.
Yeah.
But I just can't imagine a city based on a lake and a river can be better than a coastal city. I don't know. That's where my head's at.
They make the best of it. There's like a beach on the lake. Did you know that?
I'm aware. Yeah, I've heard. I've seen pictures.
Yeah.
I haven't been.
Also, I will say this, and New York has it a bit, but I think Chicago has it more because it's colder. And maybe Boston has it too. They're so excited for the summer. Like, so excited. Like, there's a reason why Lollapalooza is in Chicago. Like, they feel like they've earned spring, summer, and a little bit of fall.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Is that why everyone there's so fucking fat?
I think the fatness, well, it trickles over a little bit from other areas of the Midwest, probably.
There's a trickle down. The economy isn't trickled down anime. You're saying obesity.
You get the beer from Milwaukee. You get the cheese also from a Wisconsin area.
Yes.
There's definitely a weight issue in Chicago. Yeah, I don't think that's just a rumor.
It's like the opposite of Miami. It's the opposite of like Scottsdale.
I think maybe it's one of those things too where like the city starts to get overweight, then it's like, well, I got to be overweight to fit in, kind of thing. It's like, well, this is an overweight city.
You're saying it's a social obesity.
It's a social obesity. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are they mean?
No.
In Chicago? Very nice.
Friendly.
Southern friendly.
Let's distinguish between nice and friendly. Are they actually nice people? Go whatever, donate to charity, whatever you consider nice. Like, no idea.
Okay.
But they will say hi to you on the street as they're passing by, which for a New Yorker is very freaky.
Very freaky.
Yeah.
I hate when someone says hello to me on the side.
No. I'm suspicious for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard only good things about Chicago.
I do really like it.
And then you spent how many years there?
4.
4 years, and then you were like, enough with this improv shit.
I got really disillusioned with improv. It took me longer than it should have to get disillusioned with improv. Not anything against people who are good at it, but that's not many people.
It's very Scientology-ish.
Yes.
You pay to move up the levels.
Yes.
And you did Second City.
Yes.
I mean, did you go in there and you were like, oh, this is a little, you conned me here. I feel like you conned me.
I feel like they're conning the audience. I mean, they didn't prepare. That's the whole thing. The whole thing is that they didn't prepare anything.
Touche.
I mean, it's they practiced and stuff like that if you're in an improv group, but there were a few. Okay, so I'll say this: there are a couple shows in Chicago. One would be Improvised Shakespeare.
Okay. That
I would tell people to go to if they ever visited Chicago. They are amazing.
Okay.
Because this is also getting like a little comedy geeky.
Yeah.
To me, the best improv is the things that's so amazing that they look like they were scripted.
Of course.
The best scripted stuff tends to be the stuff that are so natural that they look like they were improvised.
Yes.
So I don't know what that's about or how our brains like flip like that.
That's so, I never thought of it that way, that like we work so hard to come off like we're just a guy at a party.
Exactly. Yes.
When they're trying so hard to seem like they are a true Broadway play.
Yes. Yes.
Very interesting.
But I think that like stand-up, but I think even more with improv, like some people that are great at it, it's a pleasure to watch. Mm-hmm. But bad improv, much like bad stand-up, is it's not a neutral experience. It's a painful experience.
I would say bad improv is worse than bad stand-up.
I'm with you.
Bad stand-up, at least you could laugh like at but maybe that's because I'm a stand-up.
You got to also think that at least with bad improv, just to play devil's advocate,
of course,
with bad improv, you can at least say, well, they were making it up on the spot. It makes sense that they weren't doing well. With bad stand-up, it's like, well, this person like worked really hard on coming up with this 5 minutes. But
we think, because we work hard, that they worked hard. Do you think an audience thinks they worked hard? I think an audience truly thinks we go up there and we just...
You think so?
Like, have quips. Call us in if that's what you think. But
my theory is that audiences used to think that, and then with the rise of like comedians in cars type things, I think people now know more about the behind the scenes.
Maybe. Yeah, people that listen... For some reason, people that listen to this are like big comedy fans. Like, they know a lot about comedy.
Yeah. That's the thing about Seinfeld, by the way, legacy-wise. Obviously, his biggest legacy is the show.
Of course.
Comedians in cars, in terms of like Seinfeld and the documentary Comedian, which came before everything.
Right.
He kind of is the guy who realized that people are obsessed with the life of a stand-up comic. And there are so many podcasts and movies and things that are that are about that now. Like, I think that's going to go down as one of his biggest things. That and taking down stand-up in New York.
Yeah, taking down stand-up New York will be his B movie. That was so bad. It was awful. Why would you do that?
It was a bad movie.
It was the worst movie.
It was so bad.
He didn't like it, it seemed like.
No, he couldn't have. It was crap.
It was awful. Well, that shows what happens when Larry David isn't involved.
That's the thing. I feel like if you're part of a great partnership like that, you must be terrified to do something by yourself.
Unless you think you're the superior.
Well, because I think audiences will immediately, even if they think it's even mediocre, forget about bad, will be like, oh, it's because he's missing Larry.
Right. People are talking about Belichick Brady. Who's going to be the superior?
Same. Yeah.
The Seinfeld David was the original.
Belichick Brady.
Who's going to be the best one?
Okay, so for you, who's the Belichick?
Larry. I mean, Larry's Brady and Seinfeld's Belichick. I think it couldn't be clearer. And I get a lot. Sorry, Josh Citrone, who listens, my friend, who thinks this is one of the most ludicrous takes.
He thinks that Seinfeld's the more talented one.
By far.
I might be with Josh Citrone.
Yeah.
Because as great as Curb is, when it is great, I don't think it's as great as Seinfeld, but I think it's an amazing show. Larry David made some movies that are really bad. Sour Grapes.
Okay. Touche.
Envy. He wrote the movie Envy.
Touche.
These are obscure movies for a reason. I mean, they're bad.
Also, Ben is one of the biggest movie nerds of all time.
Well, when you're dropping a Sour Grapes reference.
Yeah, people are like, who the fuck is this guy?
This guy, he's making this shit up. I own this exact table.
Do you really?
Yes. Sorry.
It's okay.
This is, It's I fit a lot of things in. I guess the audience can't see it. There's a table that's in front of us, and it is the exact same table as
I believe Wayfair.
Oh, it's got to be Wayfair.
Yeah, it's a Wayfair.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Just noticed it.
Yeah.
But back to Larry David. I think that it's pretty even. What do you think of the last 2 seasons of Seinfeld after David left?
Well, and also the first 2 seasons of Seinfeld.
Well, that was terrible.
Awful.
Yeah.
And that was Davidian times.
Before Larry David.
Before Larry David.
Right.
And then the last 2 seasons of Seinfeld. I mean, problem with the last 2 seasons is we knew the characters.
Fair.
And
it's hard to fuck it up.
Right. Yeah. 6 seasons of knowing the beat of the show.
Right.
So he didn't really need Larry much.
I hear that. Yeah.
As I'm saying, but you're not getting a whale at the beach. You're not going to the eye of the fish.
Right.
You're not getting that without Larry David. You're not getting George without Larry David. True George.
Fair. Yeah. I don't know. I think that's one of those nice stories where it really is a team.
It was such a team.
Yeah.
But I think Curb is...
Do you like Curb better than Seinfeld?
I think you're allowed to do more. I don't think it's fair to compare.
Okay.
You had a network TV show versus an HBO.
Okay.
So I think it's...
But I think that makes it... I think the fact that Seinfeld is that good...
Touche.
And was on NBC...
Touche.
And at times pushes the envelope.
The Puerto Rican parade episode isn't even allowed to be streamed anymore.
So... maybe NBC was a different thing, obviously, and HBO wasn't as big of a thing in the... I mean, they had a couple of shows, but it's pre-Sopranos HBO.
Right.
But I think that's kind of one of the more impressive things about Seinfeld.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
That was a very good point that I never considered, and I will tip my cap to you. That was very good.
Yeah.
Was Seinfeld big in your house?
Not as big as you would think. You would think that for a Jewish family that worshipped comedy... that Seinfeld would be on 24/7.
Worshipped comedy.
Really?
Huge comedy. Not the vibes I was getting from how you described your family.
They love comedy.
Really?
And it's valued. Like it's beyond like when I decided to go into comedy, my parents were, especially the immigrant mentality of like you need a degree and like
Of course.
So they were concerned in terms of how it's a 1 in a million business. But in terms of like he's doing something stupid, not at all. They're like, this is an important profession. Yeah.
That is very good to hear. That people of such a high intellect could think of it like that.
Oh, yeah.
You don't hear that story all the time.
I think, you don't. I think largely, though, because the first part of like the risk of becoming a comedian or going into show business in general is so high that people don't even consider the idea that it's an important profession or anything like that.
Interesting. So then what's the comedy that was watched in the house?
Mel Brooks.
Oh, so we're going like...
Old. Yeah. Like, definitely old. George Carlin.
Oh, really?
George Carlin.
That kind of matches your dad, from what I understand of your dad.
Cynical, kind of biting comedy. Definitely a little more liberal than my dad, but that's another story. Those would be the big ones of recent stuff. Sacha Baron Cohen, I guess.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so they're keeping up.
Oh, my dad loves Tim Dillon. No.
Really?
Oh, yeah. No. They're hip.
Oh, by the way, when we bring up Tim Dillon on this podcast, we say he has to come fight me on this podcast. So Tim Dillon, come fucking fight me on this couch. We're trying to start beef.
My dad, there was a recent Tim Dillon episode I showed him a clip from that we had discussed as well, that we both found very funny, and my dad just turned to me. He was dying laughing, and my dad's a pretty stoic guy. He doesn't usually laugh.
Right.
Dying laughing. And he turns to me afterwards and he just goes, "This guy gets it."
Yep.
So it's
and then you said he's gay, and your dad said what?
No. I said he's gay, and my dad said he's one of the good ones. Give my dad more credit.
That's fun. Oh, that's good. Because like my family, we put on Seinfeld. No one laughed. You just watch Seinfeld.
Really? So how did you get funny?
We're still getting there. I don't know. I think my dad's
That's
hilarious.
what I'm always.
My dad's a
Your
very
dad's
funny
hilarious.
person, but he doesn't really laugh.
Because I am always really interested in people who become comedians and who are extremely funny, like you, who, they weren't born. Like in my family, it was competition. We were fighting for who was the funniest. Like my cousins are all hilarious, and like we would, basically, not compete, but like, it's valued in the family. But how do you even pick it up? Just from watching stuff?
I think I watched a lot of stand-up, watched a lot of Comedy Central Presents, Premium Blend. My dad is just naturally a hilarious person.
On purpose?
No.
Okay.
Just
okay.
is. He's
No, but I mean, are you laughing at him or with him?
With him.
Okay, good. Yeah,
one of the worst storytellers I've ever heard. So I don't know where I got my storytelling from.
Interesting.
Definitely wasn't him, but my sense of humor, yes. I don't know. And we just watched Seinfeld almost every night.
Yeah.
And you just sat there and absorbed it.
Interesting.
So I don't know. I definitely don't know where I got my storytelling from.
I don't really tell stories too much, but my parents, what's interesting about my parents' sense of humor, because my mom's very funny too. Both my parents are very funny.
Okay.
But they have different styles. My mom is a storyteller, and my dad is like quick one-liners and surprisingly kind of a physical comedian.
Unintentionally.
No. He'll do physical bits.
Interesting.
Yeah. And
in the office, in the doctor's office.
I think in the doctor's office, I don't know this firsthand, obviously. I bet that my dad's patients are shocked they would be shocked for someone like me to say he's the funniest person I know. I think he's probably very different in his professional
so he could
life.
turn the switch.
I think he can turn the switch.
He could turn the switch. Do you think it's because also growing up Eastern European, you just need to have some sort of like a little lighter?
I think the Eastern European Soviet stuff explains both. I think that it explains why you need to be able to put on a face real fast.
Yes.
And be able to hide your comedy/Judaism as best you can.
Which over there is a synonym also.
No, it's a synonym, and Stalin can't know. I mean, he can't know anything. So I think it explains that, the being able to switch it off part. But then I also think that, like you said, I mean, comedy for people who didn't grow up in the ideal situations, it's a survival mechanism.
Interesting.
So, I think that that's true too. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's it for me.
All right.
Ben, we got it. That's it. What a perfect time to end.
Hey, what's up, man?
All right.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, Ben, Mike, Gab.
Hey, how are you, Ben?
This all goes into the pod. Plug.
At Ben Kirschenbaum Instagram, and also my friend Max, and I have a podcast called We Were Had. So those two things.
May Planner. Max will be on the show eventually. He has to change his hair color. All right, goodbye.